Go ahead.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, ladies and gents. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the SAT-PACs, the Q-Pac, and communication with SATCOM and SAA. I want all of you to understand that we have gotten several emails from people saying some difficulty and or not being able to get a response. Every email has been responded to, as I've been told as of today. Those of you who have SAT-PACs, yes, each one of you should have received by now your UCC filing information, as that is part of the SAT-PAC. Okay, if you have not received your UCC filing information, contact support at satcom911.com. Have the subject matter, UCC filing, and explain that you have not received your UCC filing, and put the date that you applied for the SAT-PAC. Okay, and we will take care of it. We will look through our records to see if it hasn't already been done, because most of them have already been done, because they were done by me, and I sent out the emails. However, some people may not have looked at the email, so go ahead and let them know, and we will do the best we can to locate it and or process it again. Okay, and that won't be at a charge to you. That will be at a charge to me. Okay, now let's cover the Q-Pac. There's been some confusion in the Q-Pac. What individuals don't understand, okay, please understand the uniqueness of the Q-Pac. The contracts work. They're called unilateral compelled performance contracts. If you want to know where the actual code is or the law is for a contract where nobody signs it, it is Uniform Commercial Code, Article 9, Section 208, 209, and 210. And that's where you're going to get that information. Go ahead and read it. It's called compelled performance. All the person has to do is an act or acts, A-C-T-S, or actions, or an action, or a performance under the terms of that agreement, and they are bound by those terms. It is just that simple. That's why the contracts work. However, without the arbitration clause, the contract would be just paperweight. But the arbitration clause is what kills everything. Now, the courts realize this. The courts realize the catch-22 nature of the contract, and so they are trying to fight. The only problem is they don't have enough strength to fight this battle, because the Supreme Court took all of their power away with the Henry Schein versus Archer and White Cells. Now, if you haven't had a chance to look at that case, it's a very short read. Take a look at it. Notice how the Supreme Court says what the courts cannot do. And the unique thing is, a lot of the attorneys for the other party, after they get their default, see, when they don't show up or appear at the arbitration hearing, they automatically lose. Why? Because the law says that the arbitrator gets to go off of the evidence that's presented, and if they had an opportunity to appear and they did not appear, that they can't appeal. Now, many of them are doing it anyway, and we're hitting them with that information. It's going to take a moment. Like I said, we have the default judgments against several different entities, including my incarceration contract that I did prior to coming here regarding the past. Because of my incarceration contract, it's against several states. They're all in default. They have never responded, did not respond to the filing in the court. We're going after them. By using that default to take care of them, we will be able to go ahead and get our judgment and go ahead and hire the attorneys to take care of what we need to. However, back to the Q-Pacs. The Q-Pac does not include arbitration. Let me say that again. The Q-Pac doesn't include arbitration. Let me say that again. The Q-Pac does not include arbitration. The Q-Pac includes an arbitration clause. Remember, I told you that's what gives the contract its power. It's the arbitration clause. Many people, if you go back and watch the video on the Q-Pak, just go to the EON channel, type in Q-Pak. You'll see I explained this with the Q-Paks. The arbitration is separate. The arbitration is done by a separate organization. SAA, or the Sitcom Arbitration Association, is not SACOM. SACOM is not Sitcom Arbitration Association. There are two different organizations. So, the reason why we reduced the price, because they were going to do the full thing, and I told them no, because might as well have the people have their contracts locked in place, and then have them do the arbitration later. That's why there are two different prices, one for arbitration, one for the Q-Pak itself. That's why we split it. So that individuals, because everybody may not have had the full amount in their pocket to take care of the Q-Pak and the arbitration fee at the same time. So that's what I explained in the video, and I said it will give people an opportunity to have their contracts grandfathered in. So just in case they change the Arbitration Act, even if they made it retroactive, just in case they changed it, we would be prepared for it. There's been some confusion in that area, and I am not here to make it seem like the individuals who had the confusion were the ones in the wrong, or that anybody was wrong. I believe that individuals just simply never went back and looked at the video. They just knew about the Q-Pak, remembered the Q-Pak, signed up for the Q-Pak, and just automatically assumed that arbitration was included. And I am sorry that people had that assumption. Okay? All right. So none of
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
The Q-Pak, SAPAC, and the email issue taken care of. Let's talk about me, because that's the greatest subject on the planet to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said yesterday, supposedly I tested positive for COVID. But please understand, these people here at this facility are not doing anything. They're not providing medical for me and several other people. And when I did have it, they didn't provide any medical for me at all. If I had not saved the antibiotics, because this was the second time I had it, I am living proof that, yes, you can get this junk twice. This is the second time I've had it. The first time it laid me out. I could barely get up out of the bed to go to the restroom. Okay? That's how bad it was the first time. The coughing and the pneumonia, they gave me antibiotics and cough drops. And it took a moment, but I was able to get through the first time. Because that worked the first time, I held on to the antibiotics because I have one of those pre-existing conditions that makes me more susceptible for catching that stupid disease. So I knew I would get it again because I get pneumonia at least twice a year. When I got it the second time, they sent me to another facility, another jail facility. And at that facility, they put me in a room, isolation, and all they did was check my temperature and my blood pressure twice a day. That was it. They didn't do anything else, no medication, no nothing. It just so happens they allowed me to keep all of my property, and I'm mentioning this out loud so everybody can hear. And I had antibiotics from the previous treatment, which hadn't expired because there's an expiration date on the packet. I had antibiotics, and I had antihistamines. Look, I was running a fever. The highest it got was 106.8. I knew that if I was running a fever, that means I had an infection. They told me, yeah, viral infection. I said, no, this thing is associated with pneumonia. Pneumonia is associated with fluid in the lungs, which causes bacteria to grow, which causes pneumonia. Pneumonia is a bacteria. Well, how do you get rid of the bacteria? With antibiotics. So I used the antibiotics, hoping that this form of antibiotic would work on this as it did before, and it did. But because it was fluid in the lung, I also knew I needed to dry out the lungs. That's what the antihistamines was for. The antihistamines also allowed me to get my rest. You can't take too many. These have been known to cause people to have issues with Alzheimer's and dementia. So please understand that. That's antihistamines. It was designed that way. So they were wondering why I was getting better. I didn't tell them I was taking the antibiotics and the antihistamines. I just looked at them like they were stupid. Said, you guys aren't doing anything. They were waiting for me to get worse and worse so that they could send me to the hospital, put me on a respirator. That didn't work. After 14 days, the fever was gone completely. Well, it wasn't 14 days, it was pretty much 9 days. Fever was gone completely. They had to wait 5 more days to make sure it was completely gone. And I ended up back here. So that's me letting you guys know what's going on here. As I said yesterday, if you really want to help, this is called the Correctional Institution for Men in Chino, California. This is what's known as A yard. A is an apple. They took individuals, and they're continuing to do this, taking individuals from infected dorms and putting them in dorms that are not infected, where there are no infected people, so that they can cross-contaminate. People were falling out in this place like crazy after they did that from the coronavirus, just collapsing. Then they took these very same infected people whom they knew were infected due to the cross-contamination, and they sent them to Pelican Bay and all the other prisons like San Quentin. An individual just did an interview with NPR, and Amy, I forgot Amy, I think her name is Amy Goodman, but I don't remember Amy's last name, who does Democracy Now! I'm told the interview was on yesterday, where in San Quentin they were talking about how they shipped people to San Quentin, and now the virus is spreading like gangrene. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody's talking about what's going on in the prisons. The federal system is doing the same thing because they don't want to release the individuals who are short-timers, who have less than a year to go on their sentence, who are nonviolent. They don't want to release them. They want to keep as many people in. Go read the article, Trading Prisoners Like Cattle, or Chattel. Just type it in Google, Trading Prisoners Like Chattel. It was written around 2012, or that could have been the reprint, and it explains exactly how the entire world economy is built on the prisons. Now, we talked a little bit yesterday, I'm going to mention it again when I did the mortgage video, talking about Jerome Powell, saying how they create money digitally out of thin air. You all really need to understand how important that language is, where he said they print it and they create it digitally. There is nowhere in the Constitution which allows, no provision in law which allows them to do that. When they create it digitally, it has no value. They cannot associate a value with it, which means there is no
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
value and consideration as associated with contract law. Okay, just want to remind you, if you haven't listened to the other 2 videos, take the time. They're only less than 15 minutes. Take the time, go listen to them. And finally, on the issue of these protests, Black Lives Matter, police officers being killed around the country, and the police officers killing other people around the country. Look, ladies and gentlemen, police officers have been killing people left and right in every state, every single day of the week. It's just you don't get to hear about it because it doesn't make the news, because it's no big deal. It's commonplace, normal. The only reason why this junk is making the news, and I call it junk, the only reason why it's making the news now is because people are focused on it. But it's the so-called news cycle thing. As soon as something else comes up, then they'll be focused on that. As I said, you want to resolve the problem, you want to get rid of the disparity with the police department and the amount of people whom they stop, whom they put in jail, and whom they release. I told people this every single time I've gone to a facility, every single time I've gone to an arraignment with a group of people. I said,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
They already know the people whom they're going to keep. They already know the people whom they're going to release. It's numbers. They already know whom they're going to keep. They already know whom they're looking for. They already know the demographic. This is not by chance. This is all numbers. All right. I want to thank all of you for taking the time. I want to ask that you all have a very good day, have a very good life, have a very good night, and understand everything will be okay. You just have to have a little bit of faith. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.